paid him. Why do I got to pay you too? I said, because we're not partners. I don't even know that guy. You know, I mean, hello. So, you know, and then she starts ramming down my throat because I want to get paid for my services. They listen, never mind. I'm busy for the rest of the year. I can't help you. You know, and then that was the end of it. Meanwhile, the same place is where this person went to get her pistol permit. As I'm talking to her, showing her how to use her gun and things, she is not understanding any of it. I don't know what they taught her. She says, well, they talked for, you know, a half an hour or so. They brought an attorney in to talk about certain laws for about 20 minutes, you know, which that was a good idea. She says, and then they put us on the indoor range. They gave us 5 rounds of 22s, and they said, okay, hit the target, bang, 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 bang. You pass. Not only did they sign her off for Connecticut, but they signed her off for Utah for $150. So she passed 2, Connecticut and Utah, for $150. This is just a money taking, boom, 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 boom. We went through the, you know, the steps. Now, NRA wants you to do 8 hours. Now, that's including, you know, some lunch time and break times and stuff like that. So if you do a private class, 1-on-1 or 2-on-1 or something like that, 5-6 hours is about it, you know, because you're not getting a lot of hand raising and things. But she got nothing out of this. When I was talking to her about, you know, racking the slide and, you know, she's doing it like this from up here, I said, no, get your hand away from the front of the gun, you know, this and that, and, you know, the safeties, and, oh, I'm telling you, she didn't know anything. She was holding the gun like this, which you don't do, you know. So this is the second time. Now, it's not her fault. But it's the second time that I've been with her, you know, so far. She wants to do a couple more. Hey, listen, I'm available. You know, it doesn't make a difference to me. But a lot of this stuff, I feel that you're comfortable enough with it to where you can do certain things at home. Just make sure that the magazine is out and the gun is empty. Check it, you know, and then treat it as if it still had ammo in it. So watch where you're pointing it, but get used to the takedown. You can still do trigger pull, side alignments. There's certain things you can do. Stance. Get used to standing in a certain way. There's a lot of things you can do at home. So get used to breaking your gun down, cleaning your gun, doing this, doing that. You know, she goes, well, I bought all kinds of gun cleaning stuff, so I figured we'd clean the gun before I leave. Oh, great. We'll do that. What'd she buy? She bought a little thing of gun oil and gun cleaner. No swabs, no brushes, no rods, no nothing. You know, I said, I'm sorry. Yeah, so they really didn't teach her anything. You know, so it's like I'm teaching her all over again, which I'm glad that I got her. Not so much because of the money, but because I know, first of all, her father's a friend of mine. You know, but the other side of the coin is I know that she's going to learn something. Not that I'm the best in the world, but I'm going to tell you, you pick up things, you know. I've been doing it for 100 years. Well, maybe not quite 100, but you know what I mean. All right, now I want to try to get some of this off. I want to do it in pieces. So anyway, she says, now here's another thing. She bought a Glock. Now, I'm not a big believer of Glocks, only because I had a little bit of a problem with one. I did fix it myself, however. And there's really nothing wrong with them, but I just don't like them. I think that they're great for a woman or great for somebody that knows nothing about guns, but I'm not going to get into all that. Anyway, she buys a gun. She buys a Glock, 19, and she buys a Kimber. But meanwhile, she's using the Glock. That's what we're using. I said, get one gun at a time. I agree, she said. So we go down there with 100 rounds of ammo, 9mm. And if I stop talking, it's only because I'm paying attention to this, so I don't lose anything here by mistake. Because sometimes when you're lifting this, I'm taking a chance on taking as much as I am with these small fonts. So we go to the range with the Glock. Last week we were talking, we did a lot of, you know, getting familiar with it, but we never did any actual shooting. You see what I mean? Right there. the five. Almost, almost, almost. Boy, did I get lucky on that one. So the first thing I noticed when I got the Glock in hand was that I couldn't get it open. Now the Glock is one of the easiest firearms to open. It has two little levers on the side. You rack it, you pull the trigger, you bring it back just a hair, you'll hear it click, and you just pull those two tabs down and the slide should come right off. It wasn't happening. Not at all. It just wasn't happening. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, here we go. You know, here she is new, you know, and she's going to get a bad experience with somebody selling her a firearm that may or may not have known. I mean, you know, I'm not saying that, you know, gun stores should take a new firearm that comes in and play with it. But they had to send the magazines out because the magazines had high capacity. In Connecticut, they're 10 plus 1. So he cannot sell a gun with a magazine with more than 10 rounds. So he doesn't do the work. He sends it out, and they put a plug in it so that it won't accept any more than that. So even without the magazine, it was still acting up. It couldn't get open. So after a while, after playing with it enough, I finally got the slide off. And I'm looking at it. And she says, you know, it's funny that you had that problem with that because my husband, ex-husband, who was a captain with the state police for a number of years, and he was also in the range officer for a few years. And when he came over the house to see what I bought, he tried to open it, and it wouldn't open for him either. He had problems. Oh, okay, so it wasn't just me. I says, it's new. You've never used it. I never heard of Glock needing a break-in point, you know, to where you got to sit there and break it in. But anything's possible. So I said, well, we'll just keep working with it, and we'll see what happens. So through the course of that day, which was last Wednesday, I found the problem, and I fixed it. I was able to fix it, not a big deal. So I said, now today, when you go home, whenever you get some spare time, while you're watching TV or whatever, you know, nobody's home because I live alone. I live in my own house. It's not an apartment, you know, it's not a condo. Okay. I said, then just sit there and get used to pulling the slide off, taking the barrel out, putting it back together, sliding it back together, racking it, you know, from the back. You don't want to put your hands near the front. You know, you don't want to cover the chamber, the exit, the ejection port with your hand, because a lot of people will do this. And a lot of people would take it up here, and even up here. Get your hand away from the front of the gun, my opinion. I don't want to see, oh, I had to press check it. Bullshit. Keep your hand back here. Right? So anyway, oh, she was good. So that's what she was doing. So meanwhile, today, we decided to talk for a few minutes about what she's done, you know, and what we're going to do. So she got herself her range bag. She's got herself ear and eye protection, you know, so she went out and started buying some of the right things. Now, I sent her an email, which I send all my students, as to certain things that they're going to need, regardless of the caliber that they buy, you know, like the cleaning kit, you know, and not to buy a kit, buy what you need for your caliber. There's no reason why you have to buy a kit that has brushes for everything else in there, because you're wasting money. Buy what you need. That's it. So I put down a list of what she needed, and I sent her, because she likes the FN, especially after today, Did I let her fire this one? And she says, it is. She says, that's not all that bad. She says, it's not as bad, or she says, it's not as bad as I thought. She says, it's a little harder than a 9, but it's, other than that, she said, it's really not bad. I said, well, first of all, it's a heavy gun, so it's not a gun you're going to want to carry, especially, for you being a woman. I said, but, that's a good gun. That's all there is to it. But anyway, we're with her gun on the range, and this thing is stovepiping, it's jamming, there's a traffic jam inside the chamber. I mean, it's just a nightmare. I'm thinking to myself, what? I don't want her to start getting upset with this thing because, I just bought a gun and, she may have got taken for a ride or, whatever. So I said, well, it could be the magazine. Whoever did the magazine, it could be that, they didn't adjust the spring properly. I'm just trying to, get her through this nicely without her getting upset. But it's just continuing. So now, I went through 50 rounds of my ammo as well. So I'm thinking, maybe it's just her ammo. Now, her ammo wasn't bad ammo. It was brass. It was jacketed. I mean, there was no reason for it. So I put some of hers in one of her magazines, or they were both her magazines, and I put some of mine in her other magazine. And I said, let's see what's what. So she fires off all of the ones that I put in. They all work fine. She fires off the other one with the one she puts in, she's having problems. Okay, now that doesn't necessarily mean it's the ammo. I said, now we're going to take this magazine that you had problems with your ammo, and we're going to take my ammo and put it into this magazine, and we're going to take your ammo and put it into this one, which we know works. And we did that, and everything worked fine. So it wasn't our ammo, it was the magazine. So we got that kind of out of the way. So now, we're talking because we're having a lot of problems with this Glock. I mean, it's just one thing after another. We couldn't get through a magazine without this thing acting up. Just when you think you got it, and we figured it out, it acts up again. So now, I said, get your oil. She gets out her oil, and I put a little oil on it here and there, put a little oil on it there, and this and that. But you put the magazine in, and it just didn't feel like it was catching. And I said, it just doesn't feel right. And then I says to her, did you buy the gun new? She goes, yeah. And she told me where she bought it. Okay. So I said to her, now I'm not sure about Glock.